So I would encourage you to like do your own research and look at different sources of what the definition of narcissism is, because there's a wide range of what's out there.
And don't be too quick to put these labels onto other people.
Yes. Yeah, understand it's not black and white, and
There are
there's
a lot more grays. Right?
lots of grays and spectrums, and to apply a label to any situation, you automatically assume all attributes of that label to that person without understanding the nuances. So highly caution against
And
using
life is all
labels.
about gray areas.
Yeah, and human psychological bias is to put certain things into buckets. In a way, I would say our education system has failed us in teaching young children like to distinguish and identify these gray areas and identify these cognitive biases. And if there's a way for people to better understand, hey, the world is not black and white; it's gray, and these are how examples of how it is. That that is something.
Well,
that
and also,
should be done.
I guess, learning tools and techniques. How do you think about these in a creative, problem-solving, solutional ways through these gray areas?
And so we talked about like applying labels, the dangers of applying labels. Especially, you shouldn't do this to your partner unless you're, actually have some good supporting evidence. This article is called "Your Partner Probably Isn't Narcissist."
Oh, that's interesting.
And there's a spectrum between selfishness and narcissism personality disorder. And there's a very small percentage of the population that actually has the personality disorder. And here, just to call out like some major differences. There's a big difference between being clinically diagnosable and having narcissistic tendencies. One attribute is if you're just selfish, you don't have a superiority complex, right? Narcissists always think that they are better than those around them. So like you gotta ask yourself, well, is the person that I'm trying to label a narcissist, are they actually thinking that they're better than everyone else?
No, some
Like,
of them.
most of the time when people use that term, that's not actually true.
So you're saying like narcissists in this day and age is just thrown around a lot, just like toxicity, narcissist. What else? Victimhood.
Yeah. And I hear this more from females than men. It's certainly the case for men as well. But like, yeah, I just got out of a toxic relationship. Like almost every girl that comes out of a relationship says that. They say it was a toxic relationship. It's like, it's not me, it was that guy. And it, when you're spreading a forest fire there, because anybody who's listening will then automatically attribute bad negative qualities about that person. Probably they're thinking that guy is like emotionally abusive, potentially physically violent, manipulative. And you gotta ask yourself, is that actually the case? Because if you're using that word improperly, you're just spreading the forest fire, and everybody else who sees that spreads it too. Because like even Johnny Depp, like the Amber Heard case, like he lost his career. There's consequences here where you label the guy toxic, and sure he has a lot of problems like alcohol, abuse problems and stuff like that.
But
like,
she also took advantage of his vulnerability.
Yeah.
And you, like, if a person or an adult knows that, and you're knowing that you're making that choice of exploiting that person, then you are in the wrong. But majority of people who are taking advantage of others, they are very smart. They know, but they're never going to say that they're doing that.
Yeah. So like if you're coming out of a relationship and it didn't work out due to different priorities, maybe communication issues,
Style.
acknowledge those differences. Don't jump to a conclusion. Don't just throw a label there, toxic, narcissist.
Well, it's not just, I think what you're saying is because everybody's in such a rush this day and age because of technology, everything has to go now, me. Instead, if it was bad, take a look at it. What were the good points? What were the bad points? There was never always bad. Maybe there were more bad than good, but there were some very little nuggets of good. You take what you learn and you self-introspect and you apply those learnings and make sure that you find someone that's not like that.
Yeah. So just be cautious about these terms. We're going through narcissism and
Little self-awareness. Little
Right.
self-awareness is due to the blame game, right? Putting it onto other people instead of saying, taking the responsibility. It's not, you're not taking all responsibility, but taking the responsibility of your portion.
yeah. So with selfishness, almost everybody is selfish. I growing up, you
It's
know,
an ego.
the reason why babies like accumulate all these toys is because they're just naturally selfish.
Well, it's the ego. It's your id, your identity.
Yeah.
When you're little, you accumulate all these things. It's to build your self-identity around it. But as you get older, you realize you don't need physical things to create your boundaries. And
Your
as you get
identity.
older, you let go of things more, and you realize you tend to enjoy and collect more of the experiences.
Right. So humans are naturally selfish, and just because you do something that's, in your self interest, that's not a bad thing. In many cases, it's a good thing. But the difference with narcissists are totally entitled, and in some of these other attributes. So there's a difference between feeling constantly entitled, being at the center of attention, and having a superiority complex. You actually believe you're better than everybody else, those around you. Like, there's a difference between that and just basic selfishness, which everybody has.
Well, it's keeping your selfishness in check.
Yes.
Is ultimately what we're trying to say here, is to keep it in line, keep it in check. We all have these tendencies. It's how we manage them. And when they blow over and are exaggerated, it's due to media, stemming from media and sensationalism. It's what catches people's attention.
And media,
and that's not a good
they spread the forest fire when a term is misused. And it's misused so often. And our purpose here, we're just spreading awareness of when certain words should be cautiously applied.
They should be limited
Yes.
and used in an impactful way instead of in a superfluous way where it's like water.
Yeah, because the more you use it, the more society uses it, it dilutes
The
real
meaning impact.
the
Yes,
real toxic relationships, the real
and those don't
narcissistic.
get heard.
Yeah, and those get diluted. So more of the story, just be cautious about applying labels. Ask yourself if it really is the right appropriate situation. If you're doing it wrong, if you're
Call
applying
it out to other people.
Yeah, when other
make
people
them
misuse
not-
it, call it out. Like, ask them and challenge them. Is that really the right term? Because if you don't do that, the forest fire just keeps spreading. The media just keeps recycling. It messes up society.